Australian heavyweight miner, the BHP Group, has made a takeover approach for rival miner Anglo American. Following media rumours about this possibility on Wednesday, Anglo American released a statement to the market this morning confirming that it had received an unsolicited, non-binding and highly conditional proposal from the BHP Group. BHP is proposing an all-share offer for Anglo American, which it says would need to be preceded by Anglo separating the two major mining groups it currently has a majority shareholding in, namely Anglo American Platinum and Kumba Iron Ore. Anglo has indicated that its board is currently reviewing the offer with its advisors. Anglo American's share price has jumped by as much as 16% on the news. Well, to speak to us about the implications of this possible deal, I'm joined by Peter Major. He's from Modern Corporate Solutions. Thanks very much, Peter, for joining us. So why is the BHP Group demanding that Anglo American would need to separate Anglo Plat and Kumba Iron Ore from its stable for a deal to happen? And even if Anglo did agree to this, surely such processes would take time.
For sure, processes are going to take a long time, especially this large of a transition. And Anglo's has so many important holdings in South Africa and out of South Africa. Now, unfortunately, no international company wants to have investments in South Africa. It's too hard to get a competitive rate of return. It's too much PT, too much unknowing, too much unpredictability. So that's a real line in the sand right there. BHP loves the assets that Anglo's has. It would probably even keep some of them if they weren't in South Africa, but without a doubt, it doesn't want to get involved in complicated underground mines, doesn't want to get involved in heavy infrastructure that's totally out of its hands. BHP is as much an infrastructure bulk movement company than it is a mining company. It moves its own rock. And if it came to South Africa, now it's got no control over moving the iron ore. And bulk mining in platinum, BHP would be perfect at that, because the majority of Anglo American's platinum now comes from large surface mines. But we just know the regulatory environment, the unpredictability, the onerous requirements in the DMR, uncertainty over licenses, it's just a plethora of reasons to scare off investors.
Yeah, so where does BHP see the value in Anglo then?
Anglo's has tremendous copper assets, mainly in South America, and it's a little bit late getting into Zambia, and it's unfortunate. Anglo's was the first big group going into Zambia back in the 1920s and 30s. It was competing head-on with the Americans, and it actually triumphed over the Americans. It put more money into the country, gave back more to the country than any other investor was, but then those assets got taken away, nationalized in the 70s. Also phosphate, also iron ore. Anglo's has good iron ore assets in Brazil. They have what could be a very, very good phosphate project for BHP in the UK.
So I understand that this latest move by BHP is quite a big deal, given that there hasn't been any really major, merger and acquisition activity in the mining sector space for a while. But some analysts are now suggesting that this might create an opportunity for other big mining houses to come in and also bid, or at least show interest in buying Anglo as well. Do you anticipate that?
I almost do. Because the Chinese have shown appetite for transactions like this, where they can accumulate a lot of very important assets in one fell swoop. And there's no doubt the Chinese have the capital to do this. There's no doubt the Chinese are the world's largest off-taker of copper and iron ore. So if they could get some nice iron ore assets at a discount in one transaction that are pretty well managed, that are very well known, and that's what describes the Anglo American iron ore assets. And China may even keep the Kumba iron ore here. I don't know. China doesn't have a history of large investments in South Africa. It would be a new blow to them. They're very scared of South Africa. They don't understand. They don't like this whole BE. So, China might just do the same thing BHP does. They may just make an offer for Anglo American a little bit higher and be happy to sell off the assets in South Africa to someone else or just distribute them to shareholders.
Yeah.
But those copper assets are in real demand.
So what do you think? I mean, we know that regulators around the world, they don't like massive dominance. And of course, BHP is the largest diversified miner in the world. So do you anticipate some level of regulatory hurdles or challenges in this deal? And ultimately, if it does go through, what does it mean for shareholders of all the various, participants in this particular deal?
Well, for existing shareholders, it's going to be a very good deal. Anglo's always trades at a discount, sometimes a huge discount, sometimes a medium discount. Medium means 20% discount to NAV. Large means 35 to 40. So whoever takes over Anglo American, shareholders are going to get a much higher price than they would have had someone not taken over Anglo American. And if those assets get distributed like Kumba or Amplats, well, you can see already Amplats is down 10% because who else is going to buy those? No foreigner is going to buy those. Now, the company can survive on its own. It's big enough, well capitalized enough. But the whole reason you have mining houses is for diversification. De Beers found that out 120 years ago. Ernest Oppenheimer knew that. That's why he got into gold. That's why he got into copper. You need these 4 or 5 good diversifications. But shareholders will do okay. Employees, that's got to be a big concern. Anglo's assets, operationally, they're not going to merge overnight with BHP. So the lower rung employees aren't going to feel any difference at all. Now, senior management employees, they could feel a difference. But BHP is likely to make it very attractive for the senior Anglo American executives to recommend this offer to shareholders. So they're probably going to have all kinds of covenants and guarantees. No one's going to lose their job. No one's going to get a cut in pay. The implications really, at the end of the day, this happens all the time. It'll be sad, but more for historical and sentimental reasons than for actual, you're going to notice on the ground reasons.
Yeah.
But government have a lot less say if this company gets broken up than they have now. The government's already lost a lot of say with Anglos because it's transferred more than half its assets offshore the last 20 years anyways.
Yeah, and in 30 seconds, do you anticipate any regulatory hurdles?
Yes, there's going to be all kinds. It's a knee-jerk reaction. We saw Anglos get stymied by one little judge in one little state in America when Minorco tried taking over Consolidated Goldfields in 1989. So this thing can come unstuck a dozen ways.
All right, Peter, thank you so much for your insights there. Peter Major, he's from Modern Corporate Solutions.